It is Wednesday, December 23rd, 2020, and we are live. Hope everybody's doing well today. It's been a very, very hectic day, very busy week. Um, Christmas will be here soon. So, everybody is Christmas and Kwanzaa will be here soon. So we know everyone is running around like crazy. So this was a very busy news day. Once again today, we're going to deal with some of these stories here. Many people heard about the veto to the military spending bill that Donald Trump did today. And, that was to be expected. So we'll talk some about that. One of the reasons why is because he called for 10 military bases that are named after Confederate soldiers to be renamed. And he didn't want to do that. Okay, so, because we know Donald Trump is fond of the Confederacy and he's a traitor. So, this is what he does. Also, we saw that Donald Trump gave pardons to about 29 other criminals today, including Paul Manafort, Roger Stone, and Charles Kushner. Charles Kushner is the father of one Jared Kushner, Donald Trump's son-in-law. And Charles Kushner Charles Kushner pled guilty to 18 counts of tax evasion, witness tampering, and making illegal campaign donations in 2005. He completed his sentence in 2006 after 14 months in prison. So Donald Trump is just handing out pardons to a lot of his friends and people who kept their mouths shut, like Paul Manafort and Roger Stone, people who played ball. They were a good boy. They didn't tell on Trumpy. And he's giving them pardons. And most of these Republicans, especially those in the Senate who voted to acquit him in February 2020 during the impeachment trial, most of them are silent as the cowards they are. Now, this is supposed to be the party of law and order. The Republican Party. This is supposed to be the party of law and order, but they're the party of lawlessness and disorder, and many of them are traitors. We'll talk some about that, but first we're going to deal with this fantastic story dealing with Ebony Magazine. Ebony Magazine has been purchased by NBA player Junior Bridgman and his company. And he and his company are buying Ebony Magazine for $14 million. $14 million. This is a great story. I posted about this earlier today. And this deals with acquiring assets. And this deals with African-American athletes and entrepreneurs, African-American athletes and entertainers building wealth and buying a iconic historic magazine like Ebony. Okay, so we can keep it in African-American hands. That's extremely important. Okay, so we'll talk about that story. Then also we posted about the passing of one John Ecstasy Fletcher, 1/3 of the trio, the hip hop trio known as Houdini. Okay, Houdini, Friends. Remember Friends and Big Mouth and those songs from the 80s from the legendary trio Houdini. He passed away age 56. So we'll talk some about that. And then also today is the birthday of Eugene Record of the Shy-Lights. Posted about that today also. And a lot of people see the Shy-Lights, if you're up late at night and you're watching TV One or something like that, you see those infomercials for African-American music that white people own and still marketing and still making money off of the time music collection and all that stuff, right? And a lot of that stuff we don't own. Okay, but I'm serious. I'm sitting, because I sit there and watch, sit there and look, and I'm looking at all these artists and all this music that's not sure that the people who wrote the song will make money, but it's like, who owns the masters? So I'm looking at all this, I'm like, all this stuff black people made, we don't own. All this stuff black people made, we don't own. All this music, sitting there watching, and then I watch who's putting the music out, who's making the money, So, but yeah, Eugene Booker Record. Eugene Booker Record was born July 23rd, 1940. I'm sorry, he was born December 23rd, 1940. Died July 22nd, 2005. Of the legendary R&B group, the Shy-Lights. Okay, so we'll talk some about Eugene Record. All right. Now on the African History Network show, we focus on educating, empowering, and inspiring people of African descent throughout the diaspora and around the world, because right knowledge corrects wrong behavior. What you do for yourself, what you do to yourself, and what you allow other people to do to you and get away with, based upon what you think about yourself. And what you think about yourself is based upon what you've been taught about yourself. What you've been taught about yourself is based upon everything you've read, heard, and seen about yourself. So when you control the radius of a man's thoughts, you can control the circumference of his actions, because the mind can't do or teach what it doesn't know. Now, we deal with a number of different topics here on the African History Network show. We deal with current events and history and politics, education, economic empowerment, entrepreneurship, love, sex, health issues, and much, much more. Talk about relationships as well. I'll leave that alone. So sign up for our email newsletter. Text the word Kemet, K-E-M-E-T, to 22828. Text the word Kemet, K-E-M-E-T, to 22828 to sign up for our email newsletter. Also visit our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. If you'd like this type of information, you can donate to the African History Network, $ the AHN Show through Cash App, $ the AHN Show through Cash App. And then also sign up for our email, and then also at our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com, click on the yellow donate button. So you can donate there. All of my DVD lectures are available at our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. Then also have a lot of my presentations in digital download format as well. Okay. All right. So let's go to this first story here. And everybody share this broadcast on your social media platforms. Invite your friends to tune in as well. Today's a strange day, strange week. It's been hectic. I'm tired. Got a lot going on. So we'll leave it at that. I saw this great story from thegriot.com, Ebony Magazine. It's being purchased by former NBA player Junior Bridgman. Now, I used to follow basketball. I used to go to Detroit Pistons games. I used to get free tickets to Detroit Pistons games. I don't follow basketball now. I don't. So I didn't know who the hell Junior Bridgman was. I didn't. But I know who he is now. Okay, I don't follow basketball, and I don't follow football. I used to follow football. I used to go to Detroit Lions games. But I don't follow football for two reasons. One, because Colin Kaepernick is basically being banned from football. Two, the Detroit Lions suck. So I don't follow football either. If the Detroit Lions made it to the playoffs, I still wouldn't watch, because I haven't watched the NFL game in 4 years. Colin Kaepernick's being banned. So, when I said like 4 years ago I wasn't watching an NFL game, I meant what I said. So I haven't watched. You're gonna do Colin Kaepernick like that? No, I'm not watching. And then as bad as the Lions are, you know, I'm not a glutton for punishment, but that's another conversation. So if we look at this story here from thegrio.com, it looks like Ebony Magazine has a new shot at life. Retired NBA player turned successful entrepreneur Ulysses Jr. Bridgman purchased the magazine in U.S. bankruptcy court this week, according to a report in the Chicago Tribune. Now, he was once the Ebony Magazine was once a pillar of the Black community, founded by John H. Johnson in 1945. The magazine enjoyed decades of popularity before declining advertising revenues and the internet caused it to fall on hard times. Now, I remember, and many of you remember this also, I remember going over my grandparents' house when I was a kid. And I remember on the coffee table, all these Ebony magazines, all these issues of Ebony Magazine and Jet Magazine. And then also my parents had subscriptions to Ebony and Jet Magazine growing up 1970s, 1980s. So I grew up reading Ebony and Jet. And then they came out with, it was Ebony Jr., I think it was, for kids. So we would read that in school. I remember in elementary school reading that. So growing up like in 1970s and 80s, in the magazines, we got to see all of these positive images of African Americans, even though, you know, they had a lot of entertainers, but even the images of the entertainers usually it was something positive. It may deal with lifestyle, but you know, now yesterday was the 67th birthday of Bernadette Stannis, Thelma Evans from Good Times. And I know Bernadette Stannis, I've interviewed her twice. I need to do another interview with her. I remember Jet Magazine and Bernadette Stannis being a Jet centerfold. I think she was Jet. Well, she was in Jet. I think she was a centerfold. But I remember as a kid seeing that Jet Magazine. When we studied John H. Johnson, when he passed away, he was worth something like $400 million. He founded Ebony and Jet. And when you study his story, he was a brilliant businessman. He starts with Jet Magazine before Ebony. And before he created the magazine, he was selling life insurance. He sells, I think he started with Jet first before Ebony. But what he did was to be able to get the money, and I know we're going to break in just a second here, to be able to get the money to publish his new magazine and to get it printed, all that stuff. What he did was he sold 2,000 subscriptions to his he, like a lot of people who bought life insurance policies from him, things like this. He sold subscriptions to them for a magazine that didn't even exist yet. And he got he got some money so he could publish the magazine. So when you study John H. Johnson, you know, founder of Ebony and Jet Magazine, this is a fantastic story, fantastic businessman. But as the industry changes, if the business model doesn't adapt, then the business could go under. All right, we'll continue this on the other side of the break. Listen to the African History Network show right here on 9:10 a.m. the Superstation Future Radio. I'm Michael Imhotep. We'll be back in a few minutes. All right, everybody, stand by. Everybody, stand by. How's everybody doing? All right. How's everybody doing? It's busy. So what y'all doing for the holidays? I'll be right here editing video because, you know, I don't have anywhere to go. I'm single. So I'll be here editing video of the shows and getting work done. I'll be here. And usually I speak at Kwanzaa celebrations, but a lot of the Kwanzaa celebrations are virtual. Nobody asked me to speak, so I guess I'll be right here. Let me see something here. Where is? Okay, I'm trying to find something here because I've got. Okay, that's Columbus. How's that right? Everybody share this broadcasting and social media platforms. Invite your friends to tune in. I'm trying to get ready for this next segment. Where did I put? So anybody doing any Kwanzaa celebrations? What are y'all doing for the holidays? If you celebrate Christmas, it's fine. I'm not gonna beat you up if you celebrate Christmas. I'm not like that. Hold on just a second. I'll be right back. Welcome back to the African History Network show right here on the 10 a.m. Superstation, Future Radio. I'm your host, Brother Michael Imhotep. It is Wednesday, December 23rd, 2020. And we are live. Calling numbers 313-778-7600. 313-778-7600 is the calling number if you have a question or comment. 313-778-7600. So we're on 6 days a week now. As of October 12th, we're on Monday through Friday, 11 p.m. to 12 midnight Eastern Standard Time. And then we're still on Sundays, 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time as well. Okay, so right before the break, we were talking about Ebony Magazine. And Ebony Magazine has a new owner. It's former NBA player, Ulysses Jr. Bridgman. And we know Ebony Magazine was founded by John H. Johnson in 1945. And I wanted to pull up blackpast.org has a good article on John H. Johnson. I've talked about him before in some of my patients. So John H. Johnson, founder of Ebony and Jet magazine, was born in Arkansas City, Arkansas on January 19th, 1918. He was a publisher, philanthropist, businessman, entrepreneur. His middle name was John Harold Johnson. He became the leading 20th century publisher of African-American news magazines. Also, Johnson Publishing Companies had this huge archive of photographs that had been taken over decades. Okay. Now, last I heard, it was John Lucas and his wife, Melody Hobson. His wife is African American. John Lucas, who created Star Wars, he's married to an African American woman. Okay, her name is Melody Hobson. She's a brilliant sister. She don't need his money, but some people say, she married a white man. Well, hell, at least she married a billionaire. I mean, that's what the. I think he's worth like $4 billion. John Lucas created Star Wars, and Star Wars is based upon the Asarian drama. Star Wars is based upon the story of Asar, Osset, and Heru, who the Greeks called Osiris, Isis, and Horus in the battle of good versus evil, and like Asar battling his brother Set, Set or Satan, Set or Seton, and then you get that forms the foundation of Star Wars. This battle of good versus evil. And when you look at Darth Vader is really fighting against Luke Skywalker. The son is trying to bring out the good that is still in his father, Darth Vader, Anakin Skywalker, who has gone to the dark side. George Lucas was taught by a man named um, Bill Campbell. And Bill Campbell wrote a book called The Power of Myth. The Power of Myth. In the book, The Power of Myth is all about different mythologies from different cultures. And George Lucas is also going to learn about Asar, Aset, and Heru, or who the Greeks called Osiris, Isis, and Horus. I did a interview with Professor Kaba Hiawatha Kamene back in 2015, 2016. And one of the things we talked about Dr. Ben Carson was running for president at the time. And Dr. Ben Carson was, he said something stupid dealing with the pyramids in Egypt and the biblical character of Joseph. Notice how I said that, the biblical character of Joseph. But we dealt with the African origins of Star Wars as well. Okay. There was an article written that I shared on my personal page recently that talked about the origin of the Jedi Knight and how the Jedi Knight comes from, it ties into Asar. Okay. Dealing with the story of Osiris, Isis, and Horus. But that's I may do a separate broadcast on that. That's a separate conversation. But anyway, so in 1942, John H. Johnson, with $500 derived from mortgaging his mother's furniture, he sold subscriptions with the proceeds, published the Negro Digest, okay? The Negro Digest, later renamed Black World. The format was copied from Reader's Digest, a literary magazine. 3 years later, John H. Johnson started Ebony magazine in 1945, okay? So he starts the Negro Digest first, later renamed Black World, and it was a smaller magazine, and it was the format was copied from Reader's Digest. All right. Now, 3 years later, John H. Johnson started Ebony magazine, modeled after the successful pictorial publication Life magazine. Okay, and I remember Ebony because Ebony, like Ebony magazine now is, and I think they stopped with the physical Ebony magazines. I think it's just all digital, but the Ebony magazine over time shrunk down in size. Because I remember Ebony used to be big. It used to be big like Life magazine. Okay, but this is back when there was more money in magazines, before digital, before online, before computers, etc. So in 1951, John H. Johnson began publishing magazine. Okay, 51, a weekly periodical created Johnson Publishing Company in a small office. All right, that's the year I was born. Okay, so now 1 year later, the Magazine Publishers Association elected Johnson Magazine publisher of the elected publication, and its historic photography archive was put up for sale. The collection of 4 million photos was ultimately purchased jointly by 4 foundations that donated it to the Smithsonian Museum of African American History and Culture and the Getty Research Institute, ensuring that it would be made available to the public. And that was reported by the New York Times. Now, after defaulting on $10 million in loans in July, CVG Group was forced into Chapter 7 bankruptcy, ultimately converted to a Chapter 11 reorganization. Okay, now Ulysses Bridgman was able to make a successful bid for the brands this week. Leonard Simon, a Houston attorney representing Ebony Media Group, says the sale is likely to be approved by Tuesday per the Chicago Tribune. Okay, so I think that would be next Tuesday. So Bridgman is 67 years old, and it seems like he seems like the right person to turn the magazine around. The East Chicago native says he was inspired by seeing the success of a Black business in his hometown growing up. Okay, he saw the success of a Black business in his hometown growing up, and this inspired him to own and purchase Ebony magazine. Now, this is a lesson when it comes to the importance of ownership as opposed to conspicuous consumption. The importance of ownership, okay? Because on yesterday's show, we talked about the Kansas City Star newspaper, white-owned newspaper in Kansas City, and how they've come to a reckoning with their past coverage of news, especially how African Americans were depicted in the media, specifically how African Americans were depicted in their newspaper. And they talked about how a lot of the depictions were insensitive. There was a lot of racism, etc. Power is the ability to define and shape reality and have other people accept your definition of reality as if it were their own. Power is the ability to define and shape reality and have other people accept your definition of reality as if we're their own. So we have to own and control our own media, especially something as iconic as Ebony and Jet magazine. So what this brother is doing is brilliant. I'm going to renew a subscription to Ebony and Jet. Hopefully they're very successful what they're doing. And, you know, we have to, they have to cover politics, cover history, make the magazine and the topics really relevant to what's going on today and what's impacting African Americans, but also use it as a tool to empower African Americans and focus on stories that pertain to us that mainstream media doesn't cover also. Okay, let's go to the phone lines quickly. Let's go to John, line 1. John, welcome to the African History Network show. Tell us where you're calling from. Thanks for holding.
All right, thank you. I'm calling from Detroit, east side of Detroit.
Okay. John, on east side of Detroit.
Okay,
yep.
Thank you. And let us know when we can start subscribing to that magazine. No doubt about it. That's very, very important.
Yes.
And that he owned it. That's very important. Now, I want to ask you a question about Abraham Lincoln. How long did he live after the Civil War was over? After African American whole fight to win the Civil War.
How long did Abraham Lincoln live after the Civil War ended?
Yeah.
Okay, Lincoln was killed before the Civil War ended. Lincoln died April 15th, 1865. Civil War officially ends in June of 1865. So he was assassinated towards the end of the Civil War.
Yeah, well, thanks for that, because they were saying that he didn't deserve the praise that some of the African Americans was giving him, because he didn't do enough to have them get some of the wealth and so forth that they created and so forth. And some of them saying that he
who is they? Who is they?
Some scholars out in San Francisco was talking about it, and they said that they didn't think that he deserved it. Now I don't know who the name was, but they were just talking about on the radio and so forth.
Well, I'm not exactly sure of the conversation. Now, when we talk about Lincoln, we have to keep in mind that Lincoln's goal was to bring the South back into the Union. Lincoln said if he could keep, basically I'm paraphrasing, but Lincoln said if he could keep Lincoln's goal was not to abolish slavery. Lincoln's goal was to bring the South back into the Union because that was the economic engine of America. Lincoln said if he could, I'm paraphrasing, but if he could keep the Union together and keep slavery, he would do that. Okay, freeing the slaves was a military strategy to rob the Confederacy, the Southern states, of their asset, of their greatest asset, which was enslaved Africans. Okay, and so when you study the Emancipation Proclamation, people talk about the Emancipation Proclamation, January 1st, 1863, which did not free the enslaved Africans. If you actually read it, you can go to loc.gov, Library of Congress website, or archives.gov. You can read it. There are all these exceptions, okay, because the border states like Delaware, Missouri, and Maryland, the border states that stayed loyal to the Union, they were allowed to keep their slaves basically until the Civil War ends. So,
what Joe Biden raised that, born and raised there?
Delaware, yeah, Delaware. There was a preliminary Emancipation Proclamation issued September 22nd, 1862, and it stated that the states in rebellion and the territories in rebellion, if they did not come back into the Union by January 1st, 1863, their slaves would be freed. Okay, so the Emancipation Proclamation was an ultimatum. It was a military strategy. Now, ultimately the Civil War is going to lead to, the slaves being set free. And we know the 13th Amendment is that is going to be that passes Congress in like early 1864, but then it has to be ratified by the state legislature. So now Lincoln thought slavery was wrong. He thought it was wrong. He was confused what to do about it also, because he was not an abolitionist. Yeah, Lincoln was not an abolitionist. If you go to history, if you go to history.com, which is the official website of the History Channel, they have an article dealing with 5 facts about Lincoln and slavery, something like that. The first one is Lincoln was not an abolitionist. He thought slavery was wrong, but he didn't know what to do. He didn't know what to do about it. And he was also contemplating at one point sending free African Americans like to Central America, or shipping them out of the country. Also, go ahead, John.
Well, I just wanted to ask you, is there anything that we could do about what the people do about Trump freeing all them convicts from prison, letting all them convicts out of prison, and so forth? There may
be investigations into after Trump leaves office. There may be investigations into some of those pardons to investigate were those pardons a quid pro quo, so that could happen. But there are going to be a lot of investigation. I'm going to talk about this in a minute here briefly. There's going to be a lot of indictments coming when Trump leaves office. You have Cy Vance. You have prosecutor Cy Vance in Manhattan. You have Letitia James, Attorney General in New York. There's going to be a lot of indictments coming, and I
heard that they had 16 lawyers in New York when we were looking at every case. So Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, John. All right, let's go to Jim. Line 2. Jim, welcome to the African History Network show. Tell us where you're calling from. Thanks for holding.
I'm calling from the west side of Detroit.
West side of Detroit.
I want to stick on the magazine, the Ebony magazine.
Ebony magazine. Ebony magazine. Yeah, go ahead.
Right, Johnson. Okay, I'm 85 years old.
Okay.
Back in the day, in the late 40s to the early 50s, they had a black young lady on the front page. Her name was Carol Drake, and she was from a small town out of Georgia.
What was her name again?
Carol Drake. Carol Drake was her first name. She was the first model on the Ebony magazine.
Carol. Okay. Carol.
She married.
Carol.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. She married Billy Eckstein.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Billy Eckstein.
Yeah.
Okay.
And her father, they was from a small town in Georgia, and her father was the first principal of the middle school. His name was George Drake. So she came from a big family. You know, they all was, fair looking and everything. And she played in the Band of Angels with Clark Gable. She was a maid with her head tied up, light-skinned young lady with her head tied up.
She played in what with Clark Gable? She played in what?
Yeah.
Gone with the Wind?
Not Gone with the Wind. I forget the one she played. Band of Angels. The Band of Angels.
Band of Angels. Okay.
And she was a light-skinned young lady with her head always wrapped up, and she was one of the mistresses, in the household,
Okay.
And she had a leading role in everything. And that's what I want to make a point. And I think later years, Mel Farr Sr., I think he married into the Johnson family.
Yeah, he did.
He married one of the young ladies.
Yeah, I think it was Linda. Linda Johnson.
Player.
Yeah, Mel Farr. Yeah, Mel Farr, superstar for a far better deal. Yeah, Mel Farr. Yeah, I think it was Linda Johnson Rice.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
he married into the family, and that's what I wanted. So I was a real young lady fire. Now back then, she was the first model on that Ebony magazine, Carol Drake.
Okay,
all right.
Okay.
She played with Clark Gable, and she married Bill Eckstein.
Okay. All right, man. Thanks for that history. Okay. All right.
I just want to throw it in. Okay.
All right. Thank you, man.
I appreciate it.
All right. No problem. All right. No problem.
And it's a nice show.
Oh, okay. All right. Thanks, Jim. Appreciate it.
All right.
Keep listening. We're here Monday through Friday, 11 p.m. to 12 midnight Eastern Standard Time, and Sundays, 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. also. Okay. So, back to Ebony magazine here. So Ulysses Bridgman said, quote, when you look at Ebony, you look at the history, not just for Black people, but of the United States. He told this to the Chicago Tribune. He said, I think it's something that a generation is missing, and we want to bring that back as much as we can. Now, Bridgman is an example of the kind of entrepreneurial spirit that led John H. Johnson to success 75 years ago. After his playing days with the Bucks ended, Milwaukee Bucks ended in 1987, he went on to success as a businessman, first as a fast food franchisee, ultimately owning a total of 450 franchises, with an estimated net worth of $600 million. Okay. Now, see, those are the type of success stories from the NBA that I like hearing about. Okay. Brothers that go into business, like with Magic Johnson. Okay. Brothers that go into business and dominate in business. Okay. He had 450 franchises. All right. Okay. And then he went on to be the founder of Heartland Coca-Cola Bottling Company, which covers distribution in Missouri, Southern Illinois, and Kansas, where it's headquartered. All right. So when we had children that want to grow up to be basketball players, football players, some baseball players, right? The average career in the NBA is 5 seasons. Last time I checked, the average career in the NBA is 5 seasons. The average career in the NFL is about 3.6 at one point a few years ago, it was 3.7 seasons. Then it dropped down to 3.6 seasons. Okay. It's very short. The average career in the NFL is very short. That's a lot of abuse on your body. So if you graduate, say if you go to the NFL, you graduate from college at 21. On average, by the time you're 24, 25, your career is over with in the NFL. What are you going to do afterwards? Okay. So what he did, and he may be more successful in business than he was in basketball. I don't know. I'm not, but 450 franchises, he's doing his thing. All right. But this is not Bridgman's first attempt to purchase a magazine. Now, he attempted to buy Sports Illustrated, which was ultimately sold to Authentic Brands Group for $110 million by Meredith Corporation. All right, this brother tried to buy Sports Illustrated, iconic magazine, Sports Illustrated. See, these are the type of stories I like to hear, because I hear a lot of stories about athletes that go broke. And on ESPN, they have a series called 30 for 30. They have an installment called Broke, How and Why Athletes Go Broke. It's fantastic. People need to watch. They have a lot of athletes from different sports, and they have some white athletes too that talk about how they went broke. Basketball, baseball players. I think they have football, but they have African Americans who are basketball players, football players, and they talk about blowing the money, and all of them basically thought they were going to make that type of money for maybe not for the rest of their lives, but for years. Okay. And a lot of times it didn't work out that way, or it did work out that way. They blew the money when they don't have that type of earning potential anymore, when they retire. Because most of these players, they would never make that type of money again in their lives for the majority of them. I think last time I checked, the league minimum for the NFL, I think is like $2 million. I think the league minimum, like the minimum contract for somebody in the NFL, I think, if I remember correctly, I think it's like $2 million league minimum. So for the majority of them, whether it's basketball, football, majority of these guys, they're never going to have the type of earning potential again in their lives. Okay. Now, if they go to business school, they become attorneys. If they master business, they can. But a lot of them, are not going to do that. So this is a really, really good success story. Now, Ulysses Bridgman hopes he can make a difference with the storied publications. Quote, Ebony kind of stood for Black excellence, showing people doing positive things that could benefit everyone. He told the Chicago Tribune. Now, he and his children will run the magazines and are putting a plan together, but expect that it will remain a mostly digital outlet, but with specialty print issues. I want to buy those specialty print issues, put those on the coffee table. Like back in the day, you go over your grandparents' house and they had a plastic on the couch. Okay. So they didn't want to get the couch dirty. And they had the plastic runners on the carpet because they don't want to get the carpet dirty. and they had the coffee table with the Ebony magazine and the Jet magazine. But yeah, we need something like this here. He said nothing is ever easy, but this would be, I think, a labor of love. So he's turning this into a family business. So hopefully his children will be able to take over this business as well. He's turning into the family business. So that's a great story. Check out this article here from Ebony, thegrio.com. Former NBA player Junior Bridgman buys Ebony magazine for $14 million. Okay. I'm just happy that a former NBA player, has that type of money or can get a loan from a bank or however he's financing it. I'm just like, these are type of moves we need to make. Okay. We lost one of the a pioneer in hip hop today, John Ecstasy Fletcher of Houdini, the hip hop trio Houdini, has passed away. BlackAmericaWeb.com has an article about this. Also, rollingout.com has an article about this as well. Now, John Fletcher, the rapper best known as Ecstasy from the 1980s hip hop group Houdini, has reportedly passed away. Now, when so far from what I'm seeing, a cause of death has not been given. I looked at the reporting from rollingout.com, and that's Munson Steed. I met Munson Steed. We're in a documentary together, the Black Friday series dealing with economic empowerment. They had hits like One Love to Ecstasy of the Questlove wrote on Instagram Wednesday, December 23rd, One Love to Ecstasy of the legendary Houdini. This man was legendary and a pivotal member of one of the most legendary groups in hip hop. This is sad. This is sad, man. Now, Fletcher, along with fellow rapper Jaleel Hutchins, formed Houdini in 1982 in Brooklyn, New York. Together, they were one of the first groups to add R&B elements to their music, with singles such as 5 Minutes of Funk, Friends, Big Mouth, Freaks Come Out at Night, and One Love. Okay, so, I can do a whole show about Freaks Come Out at Night. We ain't gonna, maybe after we end on that 10 a.m. Superstation, because Freaks Come Out. I remember when that came out, and it was, they do come out at night, especially if there's a full moon, and that's a whole nother show, but still, they were telling the truth, right? If the freaks come out at night, where they go in the daytime? That's what I want to know. But anyway, but One Love, Friends, 5 Minutes of Funk, Big Mouth. Now, between 1982 and 1986, the group released 3 albums, including their self-titled debut in 1983. And then with Houdini in 1983, Escape in 1984, which went platinum, and Back in Black in 1986. Okay, now Fletcher often wore a Zorro hat on stage, and the group helped introduce producer and songwriter Jermaine Dupri to the business as he started as a dancer on their tours. And I remember listening to them. I remember seeing the videos of Houdini. And, they're incorporating R&B. They had a distinct sound. Houdini had a distinct sound. And I hate the landscape of hip hop changed, because a lot of these great artists got pushed to the wayside when hip hop changed, and you had a more some people use the term gangster rap, but you had another element coming to hip hop and really take it over. You had negative corporate controlled hip hop. These white corporations are going to come in and take over hip hop and really send it in another direction. Jermaine Dupri on social media said, "My God, this one hurts me so bad. I can't even believe I'm posting this." He wrote on Instagram. He said, "X, I love you. Thank you for every word, every conversation, every good time. May your soul rest in power." Now, 2012, Houdini was featured in an episode of Unsung on TV1. And I saw that. Unsung is fantastic. Unsung on TV1, they're doing all these groups. Now, they need to do the X Clan. Okay. Professor X, the overseer, we know he passed away. I think he's still overseeing the Black Watch, Years of the Nine on the black hand side at the crossroads with the key. You got Brother J. I've interviewed Brother J years ago. I've interviewed Isis from the X Clan, whose real name is Lynn Q. That's a brilliant sister. That sister went on to get a master's degree. She may have a doctorate now. But in 2012, Houdini was featured in an episode of Unsung on TV1, detailing their rise in the industry. Now, an official cause of death has yet to be determined. All right, look, we're out of time here on 910 AM, the Superstation Future Radio. Hey, if you'd like this type of information, you could donate to the African History Network. $, the AHN Show through Cash App, $, the AHN Show through Cash App, and then through PayPal, paypal.me/the AHN Show, paypal.me/the AHN Show, and at our website, African History Network. AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. My DVD lectures are at our website. We also have the presentation, Ancient Kemet, the Winter Solstice and the History of Christmas. Ancient Kemet, the Winter Solstice and the History of Christmas. 3-hour presentation, It's on DVD and digital download, on sale right now at AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. All right, remember, those watching on Facebook and YouTube, keep watching. We're going to keep broadcasting. We're out of time here. Right now, it's correct. Wrong behavior is not over till we win. Wakanda forever. We'll talk to you next time. Peace. All right, everybody stand by. Let me disconnect this call. How's everybody doing? Just a second here. Let me disconnect this call. Okay. All right, so we're still here. We do the first hour on 9:10 a.m. the Superstation WFDF here in Detroit. I do radio here in Detroit, and then we keep going. So we'll be here for a little while long because I'm tired. I can't do 2 hours tonight. It's been long. It's only Wednesday too. It's just been hectic. And it's been exhausting following the news with this damn fool in office. He leaves. He's headed to Mar-a-Lago now. Some people suspect he's not going to come back to the White House. I hope Donald Trump should just keep his ass in Mar-a-Lago and don't come back. You've done enough damage. Okay, so we have the story from BlackAmericaWeb.com. John Ecstasy Fletcher of Houdini reportedly passed away. We posted about it on our Facebook fan page, The African History Network. African-American business owners, post name your business here on the thread of the broadcast. Email us at customerservice@AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. Email us at customerservice@AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. We have a special promotion going on for the next few days. We can get you up and running right away. And I'll be doing some interviews. I got to set up some interviews with some people also to talk about some things going on. Brother Taki from the film Happy, they're doing a screening this Saturday, December 26th, first day of Kwanzaa. They're doing a digital screening, a virtual screening of the film Happy. Okay, so we're going to post some information about that, and I'll be interviewing him, so look out for that as well. But email us at customerservice@AfricanHistoryNetwork.com, and we'll let you know how you can advertise with the African History Network. If we look at the article from rollingout.com, dealing with the passing of John Ecstasy Fletcher of Houdini. So he was born in Brooklyn, New York, and Ecstasy formed the hip-hop trio Houdini in 1982 along lyricist Jaleel and DJ Crew Carter. They were reportedly one of the first rap groups to incorporate R&B sounds into their songs. And another one of the songs was Magic's Wand. Magic's Wand. Also the Haunted House of Rock. The Haunted House of Rock. Now, just as rap music was elbowing its way into the American mainstream, Ecstasy and Houdini were often performing and touring alongside other pioneers of the 1980s, including Run DMC. I remember Run DMC came out. Okay, hard times, spreading just like the flu. Watch out, homeboy, don't let it catch you. I remember when Run DMC was like 81, I think 81, 82 when Run DMC came out. So they performed also alongside Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five. Remember when The Message came out, like 1980, 81. When The Message came out, I remember I first heard The Message on a white radio station here in Detroit called WNIC. WNIC. The morning show was hosted by Harper and Gannon. These two white guys, Harper and Gannon. The WNIC was huge here in Detroit. Okay, but I heard The Message. I never heard anything like that before. Okay. Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five, Melly Mel. I never heard anything like The Message before. That thing just totally blew me away. They performed with Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five alongside Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five, African Bambaataa and the Soul Sonic Force. Okay. The Zulu Nation, and then also the Fat Boys. All right. Now, Houdini's unique act helped influence the next generation of tide-turning acts in American music and pop culture, such as A Tribe Called Quest, Busta Rhymes, and The Roots. Understandably, The Roots' Questlove took the news of Fletcher's transition pretty hard. Then also super producer Jermaine Dupri is especially devastated as well. He posted on Instagram about this also. Now, Houdini helped Jermaine Dupri break into the business as his own entity when Jermaine Dupri performed as one of the group's background dancers in the 1980s. And we know Jermaine Dupri went on to establish the iconic independent label So Def and created such 90s stars as Crisscross, okay, because they make you want to jump, right? I remember that when they came out also. Crisscross, Bow Wow, The Brat, and Escape, among others. Now, Q-Tip posted RIP to Ecstasy from Houdini, one of the most underappreciated voices in hip-hop. Too many hits, condolences to his fam. So that's a big loss. Cause of death as of yet has not been given. So we'll stay posted for any updates. So how's everybody doing? Everybody share this broadcast on social media platforms. We got Mark, Diane, Twalabu, Nini. Who else we have? J-Dub, Judy, Rari, TJ, just a few of the people watching. Okay, so everybody share this broadcast on your social media platforms. Invite your friends to tune in also. So rest in peace to Ecstasy of Houdini. And, you know, growing up, seeing all these iconic stars, you know, hearing about them, at least I didn't. Maybe you did, but at least I didn't. I don't think, like, growing up in the early 80s and Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five, Run DMC, Houdini, different groups like that, I don't think we thought about them dying. Or I don't think we thought about them. I don't think we thought about us getting older and seeing hip hop artists that we grew up listening to passing away. I don't remember us having those type of conversations. You know, 6th, 7th, 8th grade, 9th grade, high school. I don't remember us having those conversations. You know, like I saw a picture of Diddy with a gray beard, just like I saw a picture of Diddy with a gray beard. I'm not used to seeing these hip hop artists that, now I started listening to Diddy. He came out when I was in college, but I ain't used to seeing these hip hop artists with gray hair. You know, I don't have all that gray. Then Diddy, he may be a couple years older than me. I'm almost 50. I'll be 50 June 7th. But it's like, you know, back in like the early 80s, when we were listening to Run DMC and things like that, we really didn't deal with hip hop artists being killed, like shot and killed, like Biggie and Tupac. In the early 80s, it may have happened to somebody that wasn't like something that you expected. It's kind of different today, but we also didn't think about 30 years later, 35 years later, some of these artists that we grew up listening to passing away, like passing away 56, you know, or like Heavy D. Heavy D passed away a few years ago. You know, we didn't think about something like that. So this is deep. All right. Let's continue here. Okay, so we got that story. And then we have the traitor in chief, little bunker boy, Cadet Bone Spurs, the first Russian president of the United States. So first we'll deal with Trump vetoing the military bill, the military spending bill. Now, usually Republicans are for the military, they're for law and order, they're for the troops, support the police, things like that. I posted articles about this today. NBCnews.com has this article: Trump vetoes military spending bill. Trump vetoes military spending bill, setting up standoff with GOP lawmakers. Now, it's expected that Congress is going to override Trump's veto. They have a veto-proof majority. Congress has until January 2nd to override the veto, which would be the first veto during the Trump administration. Now, Donald Trump on Wednesday, December 23rd, vetoed the annual military spending bill because it did not modify a law that provides liability protections to technology companies, and would have authorized the renaming of military bases named for Confederate generals. The Confederate generals committed treason against the Union based upon Article 3, Section 3 of the U.S. Constitution. They were traitors to the Union. They took up arms to fight against and kill men in the military that Donald Trump is the commander of. The Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines. Donald Trump is in charge of the military that these traitors took up arms against and fought against and killed. And he doesn't want military bases that are named after traitors to the Union to have the names changed. The veto, which Trump had threatened for weeks, sets up a showdown with fellow Republicans who must now decide if they will override his decision. So this was the National Defense and Authorization Act, the NDAA, the National Defense and Authorization Act. That bill has been signed by every president since 1961. That's the bill that funds the military. So the NDAA passed both chambers of Congress by margins large enough to override the veto, though some Republicans may decide against challenging the president because they're cowards. Congress has until January 10th to override the veto, because based upon the Constitution, after a president vetoes a bill, Congress has 10 days to override a president's veto. If they don't override the president's veto within 10 days, then that bill expires. And then they have to start all over again with the process. I'm a bill on Capitol Hill. I'm just a bill. I'm only a bill. Has to pass the House, then the Senate, come out of committee in the House, all that stuff. They have to go through the process again. Okay. Schoolhouse Rock, I'm a bill on Capitol Hill. So Congress has until January 2nd, 2021 to override this veto. Now, the National Defense and Authorization Act has been enacted to provide for military operations and continue continue operations for more than half a century. This bill has been signed by every president since 1961. Okay, but you know, the traitor in chief, once again, he's doing some shenanigans. All right, so quote, your failure to so Trump said your failure to terminate the very dangerous national security risk of Section 230 will make our intelligence virtually impossible to conduct without everyone knowing what we are doing at every step, Trump said in a statement. Railing against renaming military bases, Trump added he has made clear his opposition to politically motivated attempts like this to wash away history and to dishonor the immense progress our country has fought for in realizing our founding principles. Okay, Trump added he has made clear his, quote, this is him talking, opposition to politically motivated attempts like this to wash away history and to dishonor the immense progress our country has fought for in realizing our founding principles, end quote. These are traitors to the Union. Nations don't honor traitors to the Union. They don't. The nations don't have statues, and they don't name buildings and things like that after traitors to the Union. Okay. So the bill that was 5,500 pages was the coronavirus bill that had a funding, a government funding bill attached to it. This is a different bill. This is a $741 billion National Defense and Authorization Act. This is a separate bill from the 5,500 page bill that's the coronavirus bill. And so it was a $900 billion coronavirus bill and a $1.4 trillion bill to fund the government. That was all under one vote. They combined all that under one vote. So it's a total of about $2.3 trillion. We talked about that on yesterday's show. Okay. This NDAA bill, National Defense Authorization Act, this is a $741 billion bill. This is an entirely different bill. Okay. So I don't want people to be confused on this. This is not the coronavirus bill. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi. Let me back up. So Donald Trump, with less than 30 days remaining in his term, January 20th, 2021, cannot come fast enough. I'm just saying. Donald Trump wrote that, quote unquote, numerous provisions in the more than $740 billion bill, quote, directly contradict my administration's foreign policy, particularly my efforts to bring our troops home, end quote. Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer, Democrat of New York, lambasted Donald Trump for vetoing legislation that provides pay for members of the military. Quote, Donald Trump just vetoed a pay raise for our troops so he can defend dead Confederate traitors. Chuck Schumer tweeted, Democrats will vote to override it. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi said that the House will hold an override vote on the president's veto on Monday. Check this out from NBCnews.com. You can check out the rest of it. Now, Trump early this month made clear his intention to veto the legislation, the NDAA bill, tweeting that the bill, quote, must have Section 230 termination, protect our national monuments, and allow for removal of military from far away and very unappreciative lands. Now, Section 230 of the 1996 Communications Decency Act protects social media companies that allow user content on their platforms from being sued over messages their users post. While a number of lawmakers have pushed for changes to the law, experts say its removal, which would open up the companies to a flood of lawsuits, would lead to restrictive content moderation, not less. Would lead to restrictive content moderation, not less. While a number of lawmakers have pushed for changes to the law, Section 230 of the 1996 Communications Decency Act, experts say if you remove Section 230, this would open up the companies to a flood of lawsuits, okay, and would lead to more restrictive content moderation, not less. All right, so check out this article here from NBCnews.com. Trump vetoes military spending bill, setting up standoff with GOP lawmakers. And we'll post a link here. Washington Post also had an article. Up holiday vetoes defense bill, teeing up holiday override votes in Congress. Okay, because the votes are there. They have a veto-proof majority. Drive this veto. Okay, so this was a $741 billion defense spending bill. It's a near certainty that both the House and the Senate will override Trump's veto. The House and the Senate each passed proof majorities, rejecting Trump's insistence that it be changed to meet his oftentimes shifting demands. Both chambers are expected to sustain the 2/3 majorities needed to override the president's veto, despite pledges from House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy, Republican of California, and other stalwart Trump allies not to cross. Okay. Now, some sources say Congress has until January 3rd. Some sources say Congress has until January 3rd to override the veto. Some say January 2nd. It's 10 days. So today is the 23rd. So today is the 23rd. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, I think it'd be January 2nd. If the days are 23rd, then they would have until, but he's actually the Swamp Thing. He said he was going to drain the swamp, but he's actually the Swamp Thing. And, these are some of his cronies. These are, and you wonder, how is it that how does somebody know so many criminals? That's the question that I ask. How is it that he knows so many criminals? We're going to come to talk a little bit about Eugene Record also, of the Shylights, Eugene Booker Record. So Donald Trump on Wednesday, how's everybody doing? Donald Trump on Wednesday pardoned over 24 people, including longtime confidant Roger Stone, former campaign manager Paul Manafort, and Charles Kushner, the father of his son-in-law, Jared Kushner. Trump previously commuted Roger Stone's sentence in July of this year, July 2020, but offered a full pardon to Stone, citing his age and health conditions. Now, see, my thing, when they start citing age, we're going to give him a pardon because he's an old white man. He's old. My thing is, okay, don't do the crime if you can't do the time. So what, you in your 70s, you can't go to prison? Well, you should have thought about that before you did the crimes. I don't have any sympathy. I don't have any sympathy for him. Paul Manafort, who was sentenced to 47 months last year on fraud and tax charges, was also offered a full pardon. Now, the White House alleged quote unquote prosecutorial overreach in Paul Manafort's case and potential political bias in Roger Stone's jury trial. In total, Donald Trump pardoned 26 people and commuted part or all of the sentences of 3 others. So just today, he pardoned 26 criminals and commuted the sentence, either part of the sentence or all of the sentence of 3 others. Roger Stone was convicted in 2019 of making false statements, obstruction, and witness tampering, and as part of special counsel Robert Mueller's Russia investigation. So a lot of these people he's pardoning are tied to the Russia investigation, and or they were involved in financial crimes, tax evasion, all different types of things like this, stuff that he's going to be brought up on charges of. The Justice Department initially recommended a 7 to 9 year sentence for Roger Stone, but eventually backpedaled after Attorney General William Barr became involved. That decision led to the abrupt resignation. Of all 4 prosecutors on Roger Stone's case. Later, one of the prosecutors, Aaron Zelinsky, told the House Judiciary Committee, quote, "I have never seen political influence play a role in prosecutorial decision-making, with one exception, United States versus Roger Stone. With one exception, United States versus Roger Stone." Okay, this is just how corrupt Trump is. And this is what I warned people about in 2016 about Trump. He was not mentally fit to be president. He was a traitor. You have to have the right temperament to be able to handle that type of power. Okay. And he wasn't it. And we see how this is playing out. Now, let's see here. If we look at now, Paul Manafort's legal fight may not be over. Prosecutors for Manhattan District Attorney Cy Vance are still fighting in court for the ability to file state criminal charges against Paul Manafort, who was indicted by Cy Vance in 2019. State judges ruled that the charges violated state laws regarding double jeopardy, but Cy Vance's team is still fighting those rulings. A spokesperson for Cy Vance told NBC News on Wednesday, quote, "This action underscores the urgent need to hold Mr. Manafort accountable for his crimes against the people of New York as alleged in our indictment, and we will continue to pursue our appellate remedies." Okay, we're going to talk about Charles Kushner in just a minute, because Charles Kushner, this is that's Jared Kushner's father. That's a hell of a case also. All right, how's everybody doing? African-American business owners, post the name of your business here on the thread of the broadcast. Email us at customerservice@africanhistorynetwork.com. Customerservice@africanhistorynetwork.com. And we'll let you know how you can advertise with the African History Network. Email us at customerservice@africanhistorynetwork.com. And then the online course that I teach, Ancient Kemet, the Moors, and the Ma'afa, Understanding the Transatlantic Slave Trade, what they didn't teach you in school, that is available on demand. It's a from around the world. It's all on demand. Watch at your own pace. I'm doing a PowerPoint presentation. We deal with thousands of years of history. Ancient Kemet, the Moors, and the Ma'afa. We're going to post that here. That's on sale right now. That's on sale. Right. And then also the 3-hour presentation that I've done, Ancient Kemet, the Winter Solstice, and the History of Christmas. Ancient Kemet, the Winter Solstice, and the History of Christmas. We have that on DVD and digital download format. That deals with the origins of Christmas, going back to pre-Christian festivals, ancient pre-Christian festivals, festival like the Roman festival of Saturnalia. It ties into ancient Egypt, all of that. So it's a deep 3-hour presentation, Ancient Kemet, the winter solstice, and the history of Christmas. All right, here, let me post this here. All right, let's continue. And you can visit our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. We have all those offerings there. All right, let's continue. So when we look at Jared Kushner's father, a lot of people don't know about him. Okay, Charles Kushner. So Charles Kushner pleaded guilty to 18 counts of tax evasion and witness tampering and making illegal campaign donations in 2005, and completed his sentence in 2006 after 14 months in prison. The real estate executive's case was handled by former New Jersey Governor Chris Christie, when Governor Chris Christie was a federal prosecutor. Okay. Now, Chris Christie is a longtime Trump ally, but there was always bad blood between Chris Christie and 1 year of supervised release in September 2018 for lying to investigators in connection with counsel Robert Mueller's Russia investigation. Former GOP Congressman Duncan Hunter and Chris Collins also made the president's list on Tuesday. Now, these two men were among the first Republicans to publicly back Donald Trump's presidency in 2016. Congressman Duncan Hunter, you may remember, was set to begin an 11-month federal prison sentence in January for one count of misusing campaign funds. Both African History Network, the African History, Imhotep on YouTube. Be sure to follow us there. Turn on live notifications. Turn on notifications so you know when we go live. And then also on YouTube, click on the subscribe button at Michael Imhotep, Imhotep on YouTube. Click on the subscribe button. If you like this type of information, also you can donate to the African History Network, $ the AHN Show through Cash App and through PayPal, paypal.me/the AHN Show, or at our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. And since we're here 6 nights a week as opposed to 1 night a week, because we started doing 6 nights a week October 12th. Since we're here 6 nights a week instead of 1 night a week, your donations and purchases and things like that, it really helps us keep doing the research, stay on the air, and be here each night. Okay, so that really helps out a lot. So we appreciate that. And if you want to donate, we appreciate that as well. All right. We have to get out of here. Kwanzaa's coming up, so and Christmas, everybody be safe. On our show coming up Sunday or Monday, something like that, we'll deal with some of the history of Kwanzaa also. And I'll share with you an article that I've written dealing with the history of Kwanzaa. Okay, we have to get out of here. Remember, right now is correct. Wrong behavior is not over till we win. Wakanda forever. We'll talk to you next time. Thanks for tuning in. Peace.